7.
Today is November 6th.
6.
Hi, Helen. This is the Jewish Displaced Persons Camp interview. I want to ask you several questions first about your experience during liberation and the months and years immediately after that. Can you tell me where you were liberated from?
I was liberated from a death march. We were in a death march for about 3 weeks, walking in the mountains around Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
And we started out 1,500 women, girls, and we remained 156. We were walking no matter what weather, sleeping at night wherever we stopped in the mountains. At the time there was still snow, so sometimes we had to lay under snow, and God forbid not to raise your head. They were watching us, guards were watching us. We were not supposed to lift our heads or move. We had to just be quiet. And finally, whoever couldn't walk, they were wagons, horse-driven wagons, and the person who couldn't walk was taken on that wagon, and the following morning they needed the wagons for other people who won't be able to walk, so they shut all the ones from the wagon and they made place for another group. And this happened every morning. They were shooting the people who were the day before on the wagon. Sometimes we slept someplace in a barn, so they used to make us, whoever was able to take the people down from the wagon and put them on the floor wherever we were.
Mm-hmm.
There were places where we had a little bit straw, but most of the time nothing. And this was going on and we started out this march from Volare, my last camp that I was in Czechoslovakia, in Svodau. It's Svodau in Czechoslovakia. That was our last camp. From that place, we were taken to the death march. I even have here maps and things from the death march. I have them here.
Were you with any friends on this?
Oh, sure.
Who were you with?
I had a lot of friends.
Can you?
One of my best friends was my sister-in-law, and she had a brother someplace she didn't know. But
What was her name?
Helen Finder.
Okay.
Yeah, your mother might know her.
If you can think of who else was on the death march that was friends and give me their names.
They're all dead.
They were dead by the time you were liberated. Oh, okay.
They died slowly.
So
I will tell you.
okay.
Well, Rose Kluger was with me on the death march. Who else that you would know?
Only the ones that survived.
Yeah.
whichever one survived.
Yeah. Thank God I didn't lost nobody during this ordeal, during the death march. But we all almost survived. Anyway, the last time we stopped in a lumberyard and we were put into the lumber place where they cut wood into boards, into missing words. Now my speech is not the same anymore.
Mine neither.
Don't say that. I'm missing words and it's very hard for me. Anyway, we remained in that place in the lumberyard and they closed the door. You know, in a barn there's a door. They moved the door and they put a long thing to make it closed.
Okay.
Anyway, when everything was quiet, I noticed that there are machines that cut the wood, and there is quite a big hole in the machine for the sawdust to go down. And I say to my friend, I tell her, listen, I am not going any further. I had boils on my feet. I was material for the wagon. But I promised myself that I have to survive all this ordeal. The girls were cracking up. They were hysterical when I said it. I must survive. Anyway.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you, what was the feeling from that you must survive?
I believed that I will survive. Nobody could break me in that.
Was it a Jewish faith or was it just you believed?
I believed it.
Okay.
And I knew that once I stop believing, it's no good. Well, anyway, I went over to that machine and I slid down into the sawdust. Wasn't too far. The sawdust was quite high. And I buried myself in the sawdust, and my friend slid down. She was the second one.
What?
In fact, her daughter lives here and she's very helpful to me. A wonderful girl. She died about 80, oh no, more. What am I saying? She died maybe 22 years ago.
What was her name?
Ludka Beigel. Your mother might know her too. She slid down with me, behind me. Sure enough, later on, my sister-in-law came to the same hall, and another girl from Radom. There were 4 of us down. Yes, Rose Kluger.
Slid.
Rose Kluger slid down. Anyway, we fell asleep in the sawdust. In the morning, a light came in through these little openings, and I saw from far that there are some steps that you can go out. And I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear no moves, no people talking, and nothing. So I said to myself, I'm going out to see what's what. So I come out. and I found myself in the place from which I slid down. I am trying to push this big wooden, it won't go. It's locked with that thing, but it's raining out. And I don't know how it happened, I fainted. But not for long, probably, because I started to call help, help. Not help, but I said it in Polish. And Ludka Bagel, she came up to me, and I, with the rainwater, I washed myself, my face, and we pushed the door enough that we could, and we see from far a few long, low buildings, and there is smoke coming from a chimney. So the two of us are going to this place where the smoke is coming from the chimney. We open the door, we see a group of these Radom girls, and on this there's a stove, you know, these old-fashioned stoves with big kettles of boiling something, and baskets of cut up bread and the rolls. We opened our eyes and ears, and the girls, get out of here. I said, why should we go out? You don't belong here. Yes, we do belong here. And Ludka says to me, you stay. I had terrible boils on my legs, my feet. It was terrible. Anyway, she says, you stay here. They gave us first water with milk, hot, and each got a piece of bread. So she ate, and she says, you stay here, I'm going to get the others. She did go, and she got the others. And they gave them also something to drink and a piece of bread. And they opened a door. There was no beds, nothing. A long place with straw on the floor, and the whole transport that couldn't walk anymore. They didn't have the time to shoot them. So they were all laying 2 rows, living, how do you say, żywe trupy. It's living dead people. Sure enough, they told us to sit down, lay down, whatever. So we sat down. It doesn't take long. 2 of the girls from the kitchen come to me and my sister-in-law. She is sinful, she lives in Florida. She's older than I. And they tell us we have to take out the dead ones. So I took by the feet, she took by the head, and they opened the door, and there was a pile already letting, dead people, and we threw it and go back and get another one. So 2 of them, we added the 2 dead bodies on the other. And we sat down on our bed on the straw, and that was it. Doesn't take long. We hear German talking. You know who was with us there? The woman, I forgot at the moment her name, a very famous woman. Gerda Weitzman.
Oh, okay.
Gerda Weitzman?
I'm not sure of her
No,
last name.
not Weitzman.
Not Weitzman.
But Gerda.
Okay.
She went out in the street because not everybody in that little town, people ran away. They were hiding at a cemetery. So some people came that Gerda, no, skipped my,
It's okay.
she went to the town and she got American soldiers, brought them to show them what they will find. And the Germans, the American soldiers saw, and between them was Bernard Robinson. You know about them? I have mail from him.
Yeah?
Anyway, and of course his wife was with us also.
You'll tell me.
I cannot even tell you what I can say. This will take a very
All right. So they took you.
Anyway,
Where did they take?
Rose and I were very in a panic. They were all talking German. I didn't know who they are, and I didn't know Gerda is with them, and I didn't know Gerda. You couldn't know. You only knew your circle of friends, and the rest of it you couldn't know. Sure enough, we hear German talking. Oh, they are going to take us back to a camp. So we have to run away. So Rose and I, where the dead people were, the window was open. So Rose and I, we jumped over the dead, and we jumped out the window, and it was raining cats and dogs. But you know, in a lumberyard where they put the board, there's always room underneath. It doesn't lay all on the floor. We slid down under a pile of these boards, and we were laying there, waiting. We didn't know where we are, how to get out of this situation. But in a while, we heard these men go away. So we waited a while, and then we started to walk. We didn't know where, what we walked. And the first house we approached, we knocked on the door. And two Czechoslovakian Czech women with babushkas opened the door. And when they saw us, they crossed themselves and they let us in. But first they took us in the backyard there, and then they brought a kettle of warm water. They let us wash, and they gave us a change of clothes. So that was, and I have someplace a picture of these two women.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Well, anyway, we were in her house, Rose and I don't know, maybe for 2 days. And the Americans were walking around the house, and wherever they found one of us, they took it to a hospital. It was at the time it was called, I think, Army Hospital or something like this. It was made out of a school, I think. And that's where we were in that hospital. And what can I have a picture from that hospital. You know, I never had a number on me. I mean, I had a number here. No, I never had a number. I had a KL on this hand. But as soon as I started to wear a watch, slowly it went away. I have no mark. But in that picture, it shows the KL on my arm. So we were given homes. Like we were in a house where there were 4 rooms. So we were 4 in a room. And other people were in different houses. And the Americans were bringing us food, as much as they could. And they even brought us things to cook. So I was the cook. And that was delicious, what I cooked. But it was good because we had it. What can I tell you?
Now, this is 1945.
That was in May 1945. And I think in the maybe late June or beginning of July, we were taken to Salzburg, to a displaced camp.
So you were in the Salzburg DP camp?
In Salzburg, yes.
Okay. So who did you go to Salzburg with?
With Ludka, with Lucia, my sister-in-law, with Rose Kluger. Who else? I went with. It's hard for me to remember.
That's okay.
But I can look up all the names there. I will tell you who I went with, because Robinson sent me things unbelievable.
Do you have a list from him?
I have all kinds of things from him. And
So-
he sent me a terrific book, a whole book with stories and names and everything. And somebody took it from me. The only once I gave it out of my... I don't have it.
Well, when we take a break, if you have a list, we'll look at it.
I have all kinds of lists there, maps and lists.
Okay. Well, now, when you arrived at Salzburg, what was it like?
It was a DP camp. We were given some food.
What was who did you sleep with in a room, and what did the room look like?
I slept myself because we had bunk beds.
Okay.
And one day we found out that there's a camp in Lambach of men, and we might find there our brothers. She went to find her brother. I went to find my brother. No regular train. You went to the train station and you waited till something will take you to Lambach.
That was also in Austria?
In Austria. We came to Salzburg.
Right.
Austria. So one day we got ourselves ready and we went with how do you call the train that carries goods like boards or whatever.
Cargo?
No, these trains that...
Freight. Freight trains?
A freight train,
Okay.
yeah, see? So she and I, we got out in Lambach station and we started to ask around where it could be. Some people didn't even know. Some people told us where to go. So we walked and walked and walked, and finally we got to this camp. We come to the camp, we go to the office. So I asked for my brother, she asked for her brother. So they look up, Liz, my brother, there's no one like this. Her brother is here. And they take it like a cow horn. Finder Alexander, please come to the office. In Polish, Finder Alexander proszony do kancelarii. We wait and wait and wait, and finally a guy is coming, one eye half closed, with a pair of khaki shorts, skinny like and they fall over each other and they start running, and I run after them, and I look at him and I say to myself, so this is going to be my husband? And then,
What made you think this?
so help me God. This was the first thing that came to my head. Sure enough, he took us to his room. There was maybe 12 guys in that room, and we have to sleep in that room. So he had there a wardrobe rack. So he turned the wardrobe on the floor with the doors on top. 2 doors, the doors were on top. He put some schmate on this, then we have to sleep on this. Good, we slept. In the morning, he's chasing us down from this. He opens the doors, takes out, what was it? No, bread and something to the bread, and he had a whole big piece of, not lard, before lard, what is it? No, you know, bacon. And he's making us breakfast. And of course, we loved it. Anyway, then he says, I have here 2 good friends, and they have an apartment. So I'm going to ask them, come with me, we will ask if you can stay there in this apartment. The apartment was 1 room, but they were private, not in the camp.
So it was outside the camp?
Outside the camp. They were working someplace in an American kitchen or something, the 2 guys. And of course, they were only too happy to have us. And they had, in Polish, they call it kanapa. It's like a platform bed. So we both slept on this bed, and in the morning, she went, there was no bed, there was an outhouse. But they had something there where you could brush your teeth. We had already brushes, but we had no toothpaste. So we did the best, salt, whatever. But then she said to me, but there is a tube of cream, so I put it on my face. She took the tooth. What can I tell you? And then we picked ourselves up. We took her brother with us, and we went back to Salzburg because we had a place in Salzburg that was livable. And I didn't have to sleep with men in the same room. Anyway, so he remained already in Salzburg.
So he came back with you and lived in Salzburg?
Yes.
Okay.
So he remained that was in July 1945, and we were married June 9th, 1946.
So how did the relationship happen?
Well, we were together, we ate together. That's all.
Did you start or did he start?
We both. Each of us needed somebody. And that's what happened.
So what was, you married in Salzburg in the...
No. From Salzburg, we went out and we joined a DP camp in Bad Ischl, which was Kaiser Franz Josef's summer residence. It was a beautiful place. And so we were there in that camp. From Bad Ischl.
Now when did you join Bad Ischl?
Maybe in September.
1946 or 45?
45.
Okay.
September or maybe October. I don't remember exactly the time. But we were in Bad Ischl. In Bad Ischl, we already had regular rooms because where we stayed was a hotel before. So we had, I and Ludka Bagel, we both had one room. And
Did anybody go with you to Bad Ischl?
sure, the whole group.
So who went to Bad Ischl? Rose Kluger?
No, Rose Kluger was already involved with Michael because Michael was some kind of doer in the camp.
Big shot.
He was already a big shot. But
We'll go back to Salzburg, but first tell me about Bad.
she remained in Salzburg. Who went with us to Bad Ischl? I cannot remember.
Okay.
But maybe when I look closer to the names over
Right.
there, I might remind myself. So we were there, and then from Bad Ischl, yes, my husband started, he wasn't my husband yet,
Right.
but he started because in Europe he finished the third year of law in Krakow. So he wanted to study again.
This
And
is before the war.
no. Oh, before the war.
No. When did he finish third year?
He finished the third year maybe in 1939.
Oh, okay. So what?
The last semester in 1939. And then the war broke out and it was... So he went to Vienna and he went to Welthandelsschule. This is, and he took the business administration. And someplace I have his report cards here.
Oh, that's great.
I'm only afraid that I threw them out.
Oh.
But I will look for them. I had a few report cards and quite good marks. Well, anyway, he was going to Vienna.
We're gonna stop and take a break because I have to switch tapes.
Good.
So you're gonna get the list for me? If,
I have them right here
okay.
in that envelope. All kinds of,
We'll get the list because that way